Hi guys, I thought I'd just do a quick tournament review for the Battle of Cair Andros, which was a 800 point non-GBHL tournament in Milton Keynes. It's one of the ones the Outriders host every other month at the Wargames Workshop. So I really like them, so I try and go to them. Although I've failed quite miserably at that recently, and expect I will again for a little while. But I was quite pleased to make it to this one. So the event was a week ago from when I'm recording, so the details are a bit fuzzy. I basically went on Saturday, and then from Sunday till basically yesterday, I've just been out with the plague. So I think it might be quite a quick summary more than anything. So 800 points. I was kind of umming and ahhing about what to take. I think I had a few ideas floating around, but I haven't actually used Angmar in a while, so I thought, why don't I do an Angmar list? I don't have Gulliver, so immediately that strikes that one out. I've also got the Witch King. I was thinking about taking my two other named Wraiths, but I wasn't sure how good that would be, to be honest. Although three spellcasters could be quite funny, but I kind of so what I went for was something that actually, in retrospect, was pretty horrific. So I got the Witch King on armored horse with the Crown of Morgul and a Morgul blade, and then I got a 3/15/3. So he's going to be obviously my main spellcaster, and he's going to be able to chuck one dice. Casts and resists because of that Morgul Crown reroll. So it actually makes him an incredible spellcaster. And also gives him the 3 attacks, doesn't it? I tend not to throw him into combat too much, to be fair. So the 3 attacks is nice, but it's mainly the spell thing. It's very, very spicy. He's got 5 orcs with shield, 5 with spear and shield, 1 with banner and shield, 3 with bow, and then he's got 3 Warg Riders with throwing spear and shield, 1 Dead Marsh Spectre, and then next warband is a Shade, 5 orcs with shield, 4 with shield and spear, 1 with bow, 1 Dead Marsh Spectre. Next I got a Barrow White, so 4, with 5 orcs with shield, 4 with shield and spear, 1 with bow, 1 just with spear, and then 1 Dead Marsh Spectre. And I got a orc captain with shield with 2 warriors with shield and then 2 with spear. And then finally I got a second Barrow White with 2 warriors with shield and 2 with spear. So basically I have a lot of orcs. I think the model counts like, is it 54, I think, off the top of my head. So there's a lot of models that you have to kill, and basically what I want to do is get one massive shield wall with my Barrow Whites, my Shade, and the Witch King all spread out behind to give them the terror buff, and ideally 6 inches either side of the Shade. And then I want to sit there and I want you to repeatedly fail to charge me, and then me pick combats, turn the Shade on, roll 6s, and then drink everyone's yummy tears. And meanwhile, I want your heroes to be doing nothing because they will be getting attacked by 3 spellcasters a turn. So I'll, chuck a paralyze on a hero. If they resist, great. I'll chuck another paralyze. If they resist, great. I'll chuck a black dart. So it's just all of those spellcasting threats. I'm hoping means I can really shut down big heroes. So that's kind of functionally how it works. It's quite simple, really, and the Dead Marsh Spectres just can pull people around, which helps me quite a lot. Obviously, the Harbinger of Evil with the Witch King works really well with the Army Special rule as well. It's just incredible having orcs that cause terror with the enemy at -1 courage. It's just grim. And then 2 Barrow Whites is also grim, because that's potentially 10 attempts to paralyze somebody. The Orc Captain's there for might, so he's there to march. So normally captains are a bit disposable if they're sort of not needed for the march, but I think in this case I have no might apart from the Witch King and the captain. So actually, if he doesn't march, fine, he's there to call moves or even try and call a combat with something. So he's quite important in this list just because the lack of might on other things. Yeah, I don't want to sort of overanalyze it because it's pretty simple, like how it works. It's just very grim. I think the main thing is I don't mind playing almost any scenario. I don't want to play Maelstrom at all. I have so many guys. Well, I have 3 guys, 3 out of 5 heroes with no might. So that's just a recipe for disaster. And if if important models get separated on Maelstrom, then yes, I'm in trouble. So the difficulty with these tournaments is they're sort of semi-friendly, but I find it really hard to gauge what sort of list to bring because I brought Rangers once at 400 and I had a lot of fun, but I didn't really end up anywhere because I think Bears got sort of first and second then, and then I've sort of come up against the Dragon Emperor, and I've come up against the sort of meta Harrod list with Suladan and the Betray. I think it was kind of more meta at the time, to be fair. And then at 400, I've come up against, a Shade and Birder, and and then Rangers of Mirkwood, Goblin Town, Hobbits. So I kind of thought actually the lists are kind of getting more meta. So actually, I'll bring something that's good, but also will sort of amuse me. I kind of felt a bit vindicated actually when the lists came out because there's a few Halls of Thranduil which are good. There was a Mumak list which was cool, and then there was a Elisar Gandalf the White list, and then a Boromir Imrahil list. So it's quite good. And the one that stood out to me was the Black Riders list, which I didn't actually realise. So that was the TO who was using that, and I didn't realise he didn't actually have the mounted model, so they all dismounted immediately. So actually, it was far less sweaty than a full 800 point list would have been. But obviously, I didn't really realise that at the time. I just sort of saw that, and I was just like, A, I don't want to play that because I'll just sap will be loads, and B, that kind of indicates my sort of sweaty list. But it sort of didn't in the end, I suppose. Anyway, on to game one. So game one, I was against Last Alliance. So it's basically Elendil and a captain of Numenor with on horse with all the kit. A bunch of Numenorians, obviously. I think a couple of archers, and then a Restore leading small elf shield wall, and then some Rivendell knights. So it's pretty good. Elendil's obviously scary to deal with, and the unbending resolve really doesn't help me. And obviously we were playing veto, and obviously the first pull we got was Maelstrom, so I was just like, I guess I'll die. So the saving grace was I lost turn 1 priority. So my opponent's warbands all came on in different locations. I think he saved the might to sort of keep them separate. We were playing, I think, is it Command the Battlefield, or no, it's Command the Battlefield, where you come on and try and control the quarters of the board, but the middle is dead ground. So I guess he also liked it for the spread. Yes, that was all right. So I rolled all my guys to come on. I believe that my Barrow Whites sort of came on either side of his captain's warband, which was fine. And the Witch King came on sort of near one of the Barrow Whites so that I could sort of run him away if I needed, and the Orc Captain sort of backed up the other Barrow White. So I deployed 4 of my war bands in sort of 2s either side of one of his, so that was pretty good. I then rolled the Shade, and then it was a powered roll, and he ended up coming on behind Elendil's warband, which was bloody awful. So I was a bit like, I guess he's in trouble then, basically. And again, so I'm fuzzy on the details because of sickness and whatever. But the short version is I basically, to sort of pat myself on the back, I think I did a very good job of boxing out the Shade for as long as humanly possible, because I basically positioned the Shade so that he was giving terror to all the orcs, and then had it so that every time like an orc died or something, I'd have another to block it, and Elendil was at least 2 orcs away, so we couldn't combat into it. And it worked out pretty well, to be honest. Every turn I just turned the Shade on, and I don't think I killed a huge amount. I probably killed like 2, 3, maybe 4 Numenorians out of that lot. But I just died so slowly. And there was one archer at the back who was just MVP. Like it was against 4 Numenorians like every time, and he just kept winning. And it was pretty crazy. But the big thing was Elendil just kept calling the combat, and then sometimes you get like 5 high, which then becomes a 4, and I get a 6. Then it's just like, oh, like, do you spend the might? Probably not. And I think that happened a few times, and then I think in the end he spent a couple of might just to win combat a couple of times and sort of get killing, because the sort of game was advancing um, quite far by that point. I think we were over halfway through the game, and they was that warband was still causing trouble. Eventually, he ran his dudes past the remains of that warband after he sort of whittled them down. I didn't actually say it. My opponent was Andrew Poole. I like to add in names, but I totally forgot this time to do that. So that's my opponent. So that's kind of the short version of what happened over there. Eventually, the whole warband died, including the Shade. I think Elendil eventually got to the Shade, because eventually I had to throw the Shade into combat, and but I think he'd used like literally 4 or 5 will on the old I can't remember what his rule is, but the one where he sort of does the -1 mod. So it was I couldn't believe it. I thought he was going to die sort of second turn, but nope. That was pretty golden. Other than that, so the elves just seem to take forever to get into position, because the rest all doesn't have march, and I put them in a really annoying position. Whereas the Numenorians were kind of desperately trying to get away from my guys. I think I black darted the captain's horse, and I think the second time of asking it worked. And Andrew's basically trying to pull his guys away and put them in the woods to sort of make them difficult to. In the middle of the table, so there was a set of woods. He was trying to hide him in there and basically do what I was doing at the edge of the board elsewhere to really sort of get things going, or at least keep them alive till Daddy Elendil can come and help. And again, this is sort of a similar story in reverse, in that it took me a long time to kill all those Numenorians. I think even the Witch King had to come in, and it was just a bit of a faff, really. But eventually I sort of trapped and killed stuff, and got on all right. Andrew had by then put his knights in position for shooting, so one of them went to go and help Elendil, and the others did some shooting. I put a couple of in the ways for my banner, but basically got cocky, and I lost my banner quite early on for no reason, really. It didn't need to be where I left it, and I could have very easily put more models there. So that was just stupidity, but well done from Andrew to spot my mistake, basically. And then basically, as I was mincing that warband, Numenorians were polishing up the Shades warband. I sort of reformed my shield wall in the middle. The Witch King had been dehorsed by this point by a lucky bow shot as well, which was annoying because Elendil was on his horse, and obviously that could make the Witch King a sitting duck, and I don't want to be in a situation where we're having a strike off where he's too higher. Obviously, I have the Morgul Blade, which is a massive threat to a 1 Fate hero, but I don't think that looks good for me personally. I think the odds are I'd lose that, so I was unhappy about that. He sort of sat back and shot a bit, so I sort of pushed forwards and attacked his elves, and his Numenorians sort of filtered in to help, and then also around the side of this terrain piece to sort of hit me in the flank. I think it was fairly inconclusive there. I think that the main thing that happened at the end is I was able to get the Witch King to black dart Elendil's horse, but then Elendil rolled a 1 on the Throne Rider check, suffered a wound, didn't pass the fate, so I somehow got a really cheeky victory point out of that. But whilst this has been going on, I'd basically been dispersing my dudes. So whilst Andrew had the table quarter where the shade was pretty much to himself, he'd moved sort of 8 guys into one of the sort of quarters behind my shield wall, but I had guys there as well that I'd sort of been hiding and pulling back. And then one of them I had totally uncontested because it was just completely away from the action, and I deployed one of my warbands, so I just left a few guys there. And then my Warg Riders did nothing apart from run and claim another table quarter over on the other side of the table. Yeah, so that one ended up as a win for me. I think I got lucky on a few aspects of it, in that my Barrow Whites weren't too out of position. The Shade actually was able to tank quite well, which basically gave me the time I needed to delete one of his warbands and then get board position and all the rest of it. And Elendil was basically just killing a few orcs, which and eventually a Shade, obviously. But that's fine if that's what he's spending the whole game doing. That's absolutely fine by me. So I think that was tar pitting Elendil was quite fortunate as well. But I really enjoyed the game, and Andrew was a nice opponent, so it was a nice chill one to begin with. So on to a game 2. Game 2, I was against Austin, who had the Aragorn Gandalf list. They were the only 2 heroes, and then with them he had 11 rangers, 4 Fountain Guard with shields, and then I think it was a single knight, and then 16 warrior tin can shield wall with a banner. So it's 2 banner effects. We vetoed a couple of scenarios. I vetoed second, so it was effectively me who in the end chose to do recon, which is unusual because I'm really turd at recon. But I figured I had 52 models against his 30 odd, I think. So I thought it was pretty good odds, really. So from his perspective, Gandalf came on pretty quickly and he set up a ranger gun line. Gandalf kept casting, is it Fortify Spirit or something, the one where you give yourself a will point. I didn't realise it can take you above your existing sort of max will point thing, so obviously it just meant he was just banking a will point a turn, which was horrific. But I suppose there wasn't too much else to do, so there wasn't he could have probably cast terror on him, terrifying aura on himself, which might have been handy, but other than that, there's no point in blinding light or anything like that, so why not just stack up the will? The funny thing was Aragorn didn't come on for until turn 3, so it meant that Gandalf sort of came on and then set up shop in a choke point in the midpoint, middle of the table. Aragorn's guys then came on next to him. My guys came on sort of more ragtag, which was a bit annoying. So it was just a complete mess. I managed to at least do a march to sort of push everyone up a bit. I think Austin was content to sit there and shoot, which I didn't actually mind because I took an orc or 2 off a turn. If that's what it took to sort of fight 2/3 up the table, then that was sort of something I could live with, I think. So yeah, I split off a few guys either side. So I split off 4 warriors and a Warg Rider on the left, and then a couple of Warg Riders on the right. And I think in the end, basically, early on, I think he Sorceress blasted someone into the Witch King, so he was on his butt immediately. I had to sort of try and resist a few banishes as well, which was a bit annoying. It was a bit awkward because it requires quite a lot of brain power, really. So, for example, we cast a 1 dice banishment, got a 6, and I was thinking, well, is there any point in actually resisting that, because is it not better just to take the 50-50 on the fate and I have 3? So whereas if I roll a will, re-roll it, I'm still probably not getting a 6. Whereas, yeah. Anyway, so I think I rolled a 3 on the fate, so then spent a point of might as well. So I wasn't quite happy with that, but overall the Witch King was sort of relatively unscathed because Gandalf had to sort of get in and get into combat and stuff. Sorry, he had other stuff to do. And yeah, basically my shield wall clashed into his rangers and then I split off apart, which clashed into his men of Minas Tirith. Shade was sort of set up shop to affect both. Aragorn came in, and it was just a case of boxing him out so that he couldn't combat anywhere useful. But yeah, he tried to send 4 warriors and a knight down one side of the table, but I think I got lucky killing the knight, and then the others were just on foot, so they were just too slow to get to the table edge. And meanwhile, my guys were trickling past. So I sent, obviously my guys on my left I sent across, but then I was trickling some through from the main shield wall across to sort of centre left to some of the gaps in the walkway to send them through. So I was sort of, I think I got sort of 5-6 guys off or something. So that was all good. And I sort of surrounded and chopped up his men of Minas Tirith, which was good, and slowly did the same with the rangers. I managed to paralyse Gandalf, which was a bit of a triumph. He did recover the first opportunity, but that was still pretty good. He'd cast, is it Protection of the Valar or something? The one where you get the, I think it's 2 free dice to resist on Aragorn. So I did chuck a few things at Aragorn, but it wasn't really going anywhere. Yeah, I think that's kind of all there is to it, really. I never really touched Aragorn. I did sort of start to get alarmed at my lack of warriors towards the end of the game. Gandalf ended up using quite a lot of will, and the Witch King was sort of at the back just chucking spells at people. But I did manage to break Gandalf's staff in the end, so he was stuck on 1 will point for a turn or 2, which was pretty good. Stopping that 3 point a turn. But basically, as my warriors started to thin out, I was worried that Aragorn could combat or whatever into the Witch King. So the Witch King began to basically cheese it, and Gandalf ended up getting tied up in combat repeatedly, and I think he lost a few times but didn't get wounded. The rest was pretty uneventful, to be honest. I just I think we went to time before the scenario ended naturally, but basically I got a bunch of warriors off and Austin didn't. I can't remember if he was broken. I'm pretty sure he was broken. I don't think I was, but it was close if I wasn't. Both here leaders untouched, but yeah, it was a good game. I think at the end we were talking about whether it would have been worth Austin moving up to meet me closer to the middle, to sort of give up that shooting, but make sure that the fighting isn't so close to his board edge that I can't just sort of trickle a few guys past the shield walls. But I suppose the problem is that I have so many dudes that no matter wherever you fight, is going to happen. And obviously he only had 3 mounted people, 2 of which were the sort of main heroes. So it's a bit like, well, yeah, you're just kind of trying to slog stuff past me, and obviously I've got way more dudes. I was able to tie stuff up. So yeah, it was just it's one of those really. It was a bit tricky from his side, but also from my side, I was crapping it because of Gandalf and Aragorn, but managed to survive them. So that was another win. So 2 wins so far. So that was good. So my last game, I was against Stu and his Fiefdoms Minas Tirith alliance. So it was led by Imrahil, because he's the hero of a legend. Who had 5 knights of Dol Amroth on horse, 1 with banner, and then he had a captain of Dol Amroth on horse with 1 extra knight, and then he had Boromir on horse with the flag and everything, 13 knights of Minas Tirith with shield. So that could hit like a truck, and obviously he'd won both of his other games. Yeah, I enjoyed. Also, it's actually worth noting, we can see from the photos that his army is like incredibly well painted. He won best painted that day, so that was good. Um, I can't. Oh, we're playing Fog of War. That was it. Um, I basically didn't want to get drawn into spreading out. I just wanted to basically deathball behind my shade and my barrow whites and stuff. Um, so I basically moved between two buildings which covered both of my flanks, and then I just had a few guys lurking at the back to cover off anyone that sort of ran around to intercept. So basically, the shade was covering almost everything, and then I had obviously all my spellcasters at the back as well. Um, so this is probably a game where I just felt like my list was just horrific to play against, and I just kind of felt bad the entire time. But it was an enjoyable game. So Stuart was a really nice opponent, and also sort of took it all in stride, because this I think this game is basically where my list is the most oppressive possible. So he basically charged everyone into my shield wall. I shaded, and basically I lost some orcs, but overall they just sort of bounced off and died. I paralysed both Boromir and Imrahil. I think they both kept waking up or whatever. But yeah, it was uh, yeah, one of those really, I suppose. So those guys sort of bounced off the front of my shield wall and died pretty quick. We had a few guys coming around the side, and I had a few archers, and I think I shot one off the horse, and then the rest sort of came in but didn't kill a bunch of stuff. And then he tried to flank me with a bunch of Knights of Dol Amroth, but again, I think I was able to sort of blunt the charges and sort of counter with other people, and kind of it didn't really sort of come to much in the end. I didn't actually say. I think I was trying to protect my shade, because I would have to be protecting him anyway, because he's my sort of linchpin of my art. Oh wait, no, I was trying. Sorry, no, I was trying to protect one of my barrow whites. That was it. No. I remember now, because you can sort of see him hiding behind everyone else. And I was trying to kill the captain, but I think Stu was trying to protect his captain, which made sense in a way, because I thought he'd be protecting Boromir, but Boromir's going to be in combat, whereas he kind of hid his captain. I didn't really sort of realise for ages that he was protecting his captain. I thought he was just sort of holding him back to charge in later, because I just thought, well, obviously he's gonna choose Boromir because Boromir's a Chad, but no. So that was interesting. I can't remember who he had to kill, but he didn't end up getting anywhere near my heroes, so it wasn't too much of a problem. Although he did sort of psych me out with the terrain piece, bluffing with one on my left, and it was actually the one on the right. But I had so many guys in the middle that I think terrain wasn't really a problem. But yeah, basically, sort of just stuff just bounced off and died, and then I think I eventually killed Boromir and Imrahil. And I think I only really lost orcs. I was able to sort of run everyone past and start tagging terrain pieces and stuff like that. So yeah, overall pretty nasty. I think I had a sort of Hail Mary at the end with a I basically called a channel, because the Witch King did nothing this game. I think he chucked it like literally a few spells, and other than that, I didn't really need him for anything. So he was just kind of chilling at the back. So I was like, right, he's got like 3 might, just push him forwards, get him in sight of the captain. Obviously, heroic channel, black dart, try and kill the captain in one go. But I think Stu rolled a 6 on the resist or something. So I was like, curses. But yeah, so that didn't really go anywhere. But I think I got 9 because I protected the barrow, I got the terrain piece and broke him, and then he got 3 for protecting the captain, I think. So I think I was able to neutralise his tagging of his terrain piece, because I think he had 2 knights left touching it, and I think I had 2 orcs touching it or something. But yeah, so yeah, it was one of those ones where I kind of wish we were playing sort of in a friendly or something. I might have sort of taken something fun like Army of Gothmog, and it might have been more interesting. But I kind of feel like this army was just super duper oppressive to you know, an elite cav list with 2 very good heroes. Because I was able to neutralise the heroes, and obviously the cav just bounced off with, you know, I'm shading them and I roll a 6 or whatever. So yeah, it's one of those ones where I sort of felt bad the entire time, but it was yeah, it was, at least it was fairly relaxed for me to end with. So I ended up with 3 wins, which was nice. So you can see the table here. There was another gentleman, Liam, who had a Mumac list, which was quite fun to see on the table actually, who also won all of his games. Because I think there were, yeah, but the VP difference was so close, and I thought that because I think I squeaked the first game, it was fairly close. Second game was a little less close points wise, but still not crazy. And then the last one I think also wasn't sort of super crazy points difference, but yeah, I think I managed to squeak it by 2 VPs, which is quite sad for Liam because it's quite hard when you win all your games and then don't finish first. But good for me. So yeah, there you go. But yeah, no, it was a sort of, yeah, really nice day out. No, I won't be able to make the next one, I don't think, just because I've sort of burning through brownie points for tournaments. I don't think I'll be able to make the March one, which would be 400, but maybe the May one at 600 might be possible. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my quick walkthrough, and I will see you at the next one.